Does fasting actually work for women that are over 40, for women that are in perimenopause, nearly at menopause, or postmenopausal, which is where we will live for the rest of our life? Well, there's a lot of data and research that would support that it can be helpful for some women. But I will tell you from clinical practice and teaching programs and being around for a very long time that that's not always the case. And it can be very hard to figure out for yourself to discern whether or not something like a fasting approach is going to support you, your body composition goals, your strength training goals, your goals for your body and your health overall as you are moving into your 40s and beyond. If you've never been to my channel before, I am Jenn Pike. I'm a medical exercise specialist and a functional medicine diagnostic nutritionist, and I have a special interest in educating on women's health and hormones, as well as fitness and nutrition. So as I said, we get asked a ton of questions about this, and there's a lot of confusion for women because depending on who you're following on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, you could come on here on any given day and hear a lot of really good supporting information that would have you lean into fasting as your main tool. And some women will actually respond to that. But there is a larger group of the population who will struggle with this and instead end up creating smaller eating windows, larger caloric deficits as a goal of trying to control or to lose weight. So let's break this down so you actually can understand for your body. This will help you to understand when people are talking about it, is this a yay or is this a nay for your support moving into perimenopause and beyond? A lot of women are told that fasting is the magic bullet for your weight loss, for your mental clarity, and for blood sugar stability. The reality is that number one, our hormonal landscape is completely different coming into our late 30s, our 40s and 50s and beyond than it ever was when we were a teen and we were in our 20s. That's why back then you used to be able to go and have a banger of a weekend and eat whatever and drink and not sleep and party and do the thing and then wake up on Monday and your body wouldn't have changed. You try and do one night like that when you're in your mid 30s and beyond, and not only do you feel like garbage, but your body gives you other signs and symptoms. And so women have long been using these techniques of eating less after having those types of weekends, not even realizing what they were doing was fasting and caloric deficit. But now it's gotten to the point for a lot of women where they are going 15, 16, 17, sometimes 18 hours or longer restricting caloric intake, restricting nutritional intake into their bodies as a way to try to control something that they do not like that's happening in their body. Your body is no longer running on this steady stream of estrogen and progesterone, DHA and testosterone. Hormones like cortisol and insulin, leptin and ghrelin, all of these are impacting your energy, your hunger, your satiation, your body composition. And so we're not trying to just pull one thing out of the toolbox or apply one new support system. We want to understand the body as a whole. So when intermittent fasting is put into place on a regular basis, so if you are someone who's been trying to follow a 16/8, meaning you don't eat for 16 hours the day, you only eat for an 8-hour window, and this is what you actually do every day of the week. Here's what can happen behind the scenes to your cortisol. Now, before I get into this, I want to preface this by saying, I have never worked with you personally. I'm not your practitioner. I don't know exactly what's going on in your body. We're going to talk about this in general terms, and then I'm going to give you tips and strategies throughout so you, the individual, can take this and apply it to your own health, your own body, go back to your practitioner or your physician that you are working with and have a deeper conversation. Fasting is a stressor. Through and through, it is a stressor. And when you go through periods of long periods of time without eating, your body's going to naturally raise cortisol. It is supposed to do that, okay? That is like how we know that your adrenals and your nervous system are actually working appropriately. Cortisol is actually going to rise as well in relationship to what your glucose, your insulin, your blood sugar management is doing. In small doses, this can be helpful for metabolic adaptation. And what I mean by that is that if you're someone who has been snacking around the clock, you don't actually have complete meals. You skip breakfast every morning, your mornings are caffeinated, you grab something sweet because then you're like, oh my God, I'm starving. I just need anything. You know, you're grazing throughout the day, you're eating a snack while you're making your dinner. Your dinner's the largest meal of the day because it's finally the time you take to prep something or you pick something up on the way from home. You're snacking on the couch at night. Maybe you're drinking in the evening and then you hit the bed. That is not a fantastic way to support and nourish your body. And so what happens is when you tend to get women into these fasting type of regimes for their system where it's like, look it, You don't like breakfast doesn't work for you. It's too much time in the morning. You're running around. No problem. Go and make like a bulletproof coffee, make a fatty coffee, add your grass-fed butter, your MCT oil, add some collagen. It's not going to break your fast. You're all good. And then you can make it through until noon, have a lunch, don't eat for the rest of the afternoon, have a dinner, and you're good to go. A lot of women who we work with, and maybe this isn't your experience, they're actually only eating 2 meals a day. Some are stuck in this energy of an OMAD, which is 1 meal of a day. Now, this, if you were to do it every now and again behind the scenes to help to re-regulate your body's relationship to insulin, to get you out of this primary glycolytic state and into more of a metabolic switching state where you're really good at burning both fat and carbohydrates for calories and for metabolic use overall. Most people aren't giving themselves the amount of time to get into this state because we panic when we start to eat what we feel are too many carbohydrates. We panic if we get hungry and we're just grabbing whatever it is. We panic if we don't start to lose weight on the scale right away. And so I want you to really sit back and think about how this could be potentially dysregulating your system. So let's paint a picture here. You are a woman that tries to fast most days of the week, but your definition of fasting is what I just explained. You just simply don't eat until noon. You maybe don't put a lot of thought into the meals you're having, so you're not getting this appropriate bolus, this amount of protein, aiming for at least 100 grams of protein a day for your body. You need those amino acids, not just for building muscle and supporting body composition, for brain function, for everything else going on in your system. You're not getting enough carbohydrate intake. Not only is this going to impact your adrenals and cortisol that we just talked about, but also insulin and your thyroid. Now, your insulin cortisol relationship, your thyroid health, your adrenal health, ladies, when you are going into your 40s, this is all going to change if you were to change nothing. If you were to be eating a balanced breakfast, lunch, afternoon snack, and dinner, you were trying to get your steps in, lift some weights, this is still going to shift as a result of what is happening hormonally in the body. You have to remember that perimenopause and menopause, it's a complete uncoupling. So we're not trying to do things to the detriment of these changes happening. We're trying to saddle right up next to our body and ask, like, how can I nourish you? How can I build you up? How can I support you? Not how can I continue to take away from you? So if you notice things like you wake every night between 2 and 4 in the morning, you feel wired but tired, you're anxious, you're irritable, you are lightheaded, you're that person that I described where you're like, I got to get something to eat in now. And that's when you're going to go for something sweet. Like you're going to go for the muffin. You're going to go for the chocolate. You're going to go for another coffee with some, latte type of syrup and that. You're going to reach for the quick fix. You're also noticing that you have got some muscle loss despite the fact that you're exercising, or you're feeling right pissed off and frustrated because you're strength training. You're doing your cardio in the appropriate zone, whatever zone of the day that is, because sometimes you're only supposed to be doing zone 2. Sometimes you're supposed to strap on a weighted vest. Sometimes you're supposed to be at a 10% incline on a treadmill. Just move your freaking body. But here's the thing. You're like, I'm not seeing any results. And you walk around like it's a badge saying, hi, my name is, I am doing everything and nothing is changing. Hi, my name is, I'm doing everything that the internet is telling me to do and nothing is changing. And you really start to feel frustrated. You're plateauing with your weight. You're starting to gain weight, especially around the belly. If you've got a lot of belly fat that is new, not weight that you've been carrying for a long period of time and have been struggling with, but you're like, hold up. I never used to get this around my tummy. I never used to get this around my bra strap. What is happening under my arms? Why is my face feeling puffy? And why am I feeling thicker overall? This is what I am talking about. And your fasting approach could be contributing to this. Now, insulin, which is a storage and stability hormone, fasting can help a lot of women who are stuck in insulin resistance to resensitize the body, to resensitize the pancreas, the beta cells, and help the body. And the more muscle you have, by the way, that muscle is looking for more glycogen, right? The stored form of glucose. The liver is looking for that. Your thyroid is looking for that. Your brain is looking for that. So from an energetic perspective, it's not about stripping carbohydrates, which a lot of women, when they go fasting, they're like, I'm just going to do protein and vegetables and I'll get some healthy fats in. You really want to be careful about using that as a long-term approach, even for those of you who have insulin resistance. Now, if you're the kind of woman where you've been mainly having high carb meals, you're doing the constant snacking that I talked about, this could give your digestive system a break and improve your insulin sensitivity and help your body switch from that glucose to fat as a preferred fuel source. But this isn't going to happen over a weekend. So I would recommend that you work with someone or read some good literature. I actually do like the work of Dr. Mindy Pelz, Cynthia Thurlow. They have a very balanced, female-centric approach to how you could bring fasting in to support your body. And you just want to pay attention, ladies, because your insulin's going to let you know that things are off. If you've got the hangry energy, you've got those crashes, you have the headaches, you have the cravings. Afternoon, you just are like, I need to have a nap on my desk. That's not an appropriate response from our body. And if your body is giving you any of the signs and symptoms that I've indicated in the last couple of minutes, it's time you pay attention. You probably should work with someone, or at the very least, start to track your own symptoms. Keep a journal, note the days that you don't eat enough. How do you feel? What is it that's going on? Now, in midlife, women need a gentler approach. And this isn't about just like all you're going to do is walk and lift pink weights. That is not what I am saying. What I mean by having a more gentle approach to fasting is shorter fasting windows, 12 to 13 hours overnight. That's plenty for most women. So that can mean that you finish dinner by 7 and you have breakfast at 8 o'clock in the morning. Don't skip breakfast, and especially don't skip it on your high stress days. If you didn't sleep well, if you've been training hard, if you have a day where you've got back-to-back calls, you need to start your day with ample nutrition. You need to try to get in 30, 40 grams of protein, 30, 40 grams of carbohydrates, maybe 10 to 12 grams of fat as a baseline to keep your body and your brain and your energy sustained throughout the day. You can also take a cyclical or a phase-aware approach to your fasting. Perimenopausal women who are still cycling, you really want to avoid a lot of aggressive, longer fasting the week leading into your period. Your symptoms will be worse, your energy will be lower, your cravings will be worse. It's not a great idea to do it in the luteal phase. Do it in a more insulin sensitive period of time, like right around when the period is starting to end and you move into that latter half of your follicular phase where you've got more estrogen coming back, FSH is starting to climb, testosterone is there. That's when the body can profit from having a little bit less because we're a little bit more insulin sensitive. Postmenopausal women, you can experiment a little bit more with this, but you still need to eat enough protein to protect muscle, to protect metabolic health overall. And so again, ladies, stop trying to think about how you can shrink, shrink, shrink. There's typically more going on behind the scenes than you just eating less. And remember that your quality matters than the quantity. So if you're fasting but living on caffeine and low calories and no minerals, you're not healing, you're depleting. And so we try to call things something like, but I'm doing this for autophagy and I'm doing this to support neurocognitive function. You're actually depleting yourself, and you might feel good for a short period of time, but in the long term, I'm telling you, it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. So let's summarize who fasting could be for and who it might not be for. Fasting can be helpful if you are struggling in a pre-diabetic state and you have insulin resistance. It can help you if you have a lot of digestive issues and you need longer breaks between your meals right now because you've been dealing with reflux, chronic gas and bloating, H. pylori, opportunistic bacteria, and you're working with a practitioner to get things back online. You may have to have smaller meals to have bigger digestive breaks. Women who have late night eating habits and constant grazing, we may bring this in for a short period of time. And those who pair fasting with adequate protein and strength training are always going to feel better. And that's when fasting can be helpful. When it can be harmful is if you are someone who is already dealing with a lot of stress, you are already dealing with symptoms that you would describe as being adrenal fatigue, low adrenal reserve, low energy overall. You've got thyroid dysfunction. You've noticed you're losing your hair. Your skin is changing for the worse. Your nails are brittle and breaking. You are constipated. You have chronic fatigue. You have anxiety. You are already not sleeping, or you're in a position where you've already been under eating and you have been restricting your macros. You've been restricting your fats, your protein, your carbohydrate, and your calories. The rule of thumb here is that if fasting makes you feel clear and grounded and strong, then your body is probably responding well. If it leaves you wired, tired, anxious, or inflamed, it is too much. So what no one is really talking about in the fasting world right now is that fasting is a tool, it is not a lifestyle, and it can be used strategically, but not religiously. You don't heal your hormones by starving them. You heal them by supporting them. So I hope this helped to create a little bit deeper of a framework and some context around how you can figure out for yourself if fasting is working or not. Whatever it is you're choosing to do, create enough consistency so that you create enough evidence and data from your own body as opposed to just waiting for a study to come out. Listen to your own body. She's actually whip smart. Okay, and trust her when she is communicating with you. Now, if you are looking for a way to nourish your body, you are looking for a way to move differently and honor the phase or season of life that you are in, I want you to click this link down below. I also want you to click to subscribe so you never miss an episode because we have so many more goodies coming up. But this link right down here, I'm going to give you access to 7 free workout videos that I lead. This is part of my synced community. We talk about nourishment and how to get strong in a body that feels aligned with more simplicity and more ease in all that you do. Have a fantastic rest of your day, everyone. I'll see you back here next time.